Hey, Mike, I actually have something I would like to address here at the top of the show just to kind of set the tone for what the next hour is going to go like, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay. I feel like lately, specifically last week's show, but it's been something that's been building for a while now. I have turned into a bit of a downer when it comes to talking about this Kansas basketball team. And while I don't regret anything I've said, and I don't really think I've been wrong about pretty much anything, it's quite remarkable, in fact, how accurate all of my takes have been. I'm sitting here now on the week of the Big 12 tournament. The NCAA tournament's coming up next week, and I want to get back to my normal vibey self. I don't want to be low vibe guy. I want to be the vibe king, and in order to accomplish that, I'm going to limit myself to, let's go 5 negative opinions this whole show. So I can state facts that may have negative implications, but in terms of my own opinions, I need you to keep me honest and keep a running tally to make sure I only say 5 things that could be perceived as negative opinions about this Kansas team.
I mean, I will keep you honest. I didn't know that you said you want to get back to yourself. I didn't know that you were generally, this is our first Kansas basketball season together.
That's true.
I didn't know that you were generally not like this, because you've definitely been negative like you said, but at the same time, a lot of good takes. Run back the tape. A podcast with more time would run back the tape, and you look good. History is really reflecting well on you and on us, me by association.
But see, the fact that you think that this is just my normal self, that's the issue. That's the issue I'm trying to address right now. You and a lot of people probably think this is just how I am. And I don't want that, especially we don't know when the season's going to end. The off season could be here before we know it, and I don't want everybody going into that cold, dark off season with that being their only memory of me as a Kansas fan.
First of all, well, 2 things. One, maybe a little negative opinion by you just now, but not about the team. Not actually, it wasn't. You're trying.
Yeah,
to
that
be
doesn't
positive.
count then.
No,
Yeah.
I really was just looking for one to put you on kind of the hot seat. If you think that we're going away after the season's over, this is like old media, Nick, Radio Man, versus new media. Scoopmeister, Mike Vernon.
You're new media?
Scoopy Man. Yeah, no. You're old.
Only
you're
one,
old
by the
media.
way, I just want to make it clear to everybody listening and watching, only one of us has an actual journalism degree from college, and it's not me. So Mr. Journalism degree, I don't think is allowed to tout himself as new media.
I did work for a print
And anybody
newspaper.
who sits like this, and anybody who does this when they're talking,
No,
that's
this
an
is-
old media move.
Okay, so what I was doing is putting my fingertips of my 2 hands together and bouncing them back and forth, which is me showing you how good my takes are. No, if you think we're going away after the season, I think you're going to be surprised, because things are going to get a little nutty the second the season is over. It is going to be portal season to the max for Kansas fans, for KU. And I think it's going to be, one, really fun. There's going to be a ton of news, a ton of rumors, a lot of hot goss. We'll be out there in the streets hearing what people are saying, bringing it back here, looking at some scenarios. I'm all over it, by the way. Last year, I couldn't have dominated Scoopy portal season more. And we got to go back to back. So that's to say, we're not going anywhere. In fact,
Yeah.
your negativity, what has been negative, not an attack, a fact, what you said.
Okay.
And
Okay.
frankly, again, good, accurate negativity.
Positive
it's all
negativity.
going to change. It's all positive
Yes.
negativity. It's all going to change after the year. It's going to get crazy. So
Yes.
it's actually a good one to lead with. I have a correction from last week. We talked about players we would welcome back, I guess. And some people kind of took that as what we thought was going to happen. I definitely said that Furphy's probably coming back. I want to retract that one because it seems harder to believe that Furphy is going to be coming back based on, well, the Indiana 5-star recruit Liam McNeely, who's also a 6'7" shooter, probably are being very interested in Kansas, decommitting from Indiana. I don't think you do that unless you've done your research on what Furphy's probably going to do. And, let's just be realistic that if he's a lotto pick, he should go. I'm not sure yet. But
Real quick, though. All of that makes perfect sense. The guy you're talking about, Liam McNeely, I would argue, though, there's room for both.
There's room.
If they wanted to, they could do it. I agree with everything you said. If Johnny is going to be a lottery pick, then you can't really fault him for going. I would just say that I don't think Johnny staying another year would or should scare anybody else off. There's going to be plenty of shots to go around.
Yes, and you want spacing. Actually, a perfect scenario is having both
really
of them.
quick. Say there's only one ball. Say there's only one ball. Work it into conversation.
There's only one ball. There's only one ball. Where are the shots going to come?
Yeah.
The other correction is about, I think we both said we want Marco Jackson back, which I do.
You're off on Marco now.
No, I would take him back, but I don't think he'll be back. That's my current read on this situation.
Sometimes when you talk about stuff like this, I can't tell if this is just your opinion or if...
I'm not expecting El Marco back, though. These things in this season is emotional. Things change over the course. They'll maybe find out what's out there in the open market. So I don't want to make any broad or crazy proclamations here when things can change. As of right now, I think El Marco's probably gone. Jamari McDowell's probably gone. Johnny Furphy's probably gone. And that's why I'm saying it's going to get crazy after this. So that is a loaded intro that we just did.
Yeah, actually, let's get to the intro, and then we can unload everything that you just loaded.
We'll load.
Right, you load, and then you unload. And we're the king of loads. This is the podcast of loads. We protect loads, we manage loads, and we deliver them to the Show It All gang. Houston smacks Kansas. We've got tourney talk coming up this week. Bill Self issued an update on Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullar. Those guys are going to be out. Who's going to rise to the occasion? We've got some unsolicited user submissions. We've got some fun games to play, March-themed, Mike, as we enter the postseason officially with the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City this week. All of that and much, much more. This is Could Be Wrong.
And I could be wrong. You guys could look at this. And I could be wrong on this. I could be wrong, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. You'd have to ask him. But
bro, I'm not going to lie. When it was, I think it was 32-9 in the first half, 27-9, something like that. I was watching with a college buddy of mine here in Denver, and I turned to him and I just said, look, KU had just called their third time out of the first half, and I said, look at that score. And sometimes you just look at that bottom line and you're like, I didn't expect to win this game, but I didn't expect it to look like this. And it was one of those games where you never felt like a charge was coming from the Hawks. You never really felt like, they're about to get going. It was just like you sent out the meat necklace picture, which I thought was really funny, the Jayhawk wearing sausage, Vienna sausages wrapped around his neck. And it was just that to a T. And I think we even kind of mentioned this last week, Houston came into our place, got beat pretty handily. It's their last game of the season. KU's kind of reeling. I'm not saying I saw that coming, but I didn't really expect the Hawks to go in there and pull off the upset. But I'll be honest, man, there was a few moments in that game where I just thought, and probably Hunter running to the locker room holding his shoulder, where I thought, this is it. This is the season right here in a nutshell. Murphy's Law, everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
That's it. We've had a good run. Bury me out back.
Yeah, we're retiring. The podcast is retiring.
Hibernating.
Yeah.
Till portal season, like I said. I mean, now
did you have that feeling at all?
That it was done? Like the season was done?
yeah, like this is just not it. It's not it.
Yeah, I mean, so McCullar's not playing. Hunter suffered, what looks to be a serious injury. Those who remember the Wayne Simeon era, still worried whenever a shoulder goes. Yeah. Without the two best players on a worse than normal team with a horrible bench, yeah, it felt over. I wasn't shocked by anything I saw. I don't know if you were. I mean, the effort was bad, but it felt like there was very little to play for against a team out for revenge. An unusual situation, but didn't have the juice. You had said the week before, kind of an unserious team. You were upset that they were shouting out burner accounts on Twitter. Or in their senior speeches that they're all talking about the burner accounts. I can see what you're doing.
You're trying to tee me up to get negative here, and it's not going to work.
Well, credit to you, because I was all in. They're having fun. They're loose. And then you turn it around and lose by 30. It looks a little bit worse in retrospect. Yeah, you're not going to be negative, huh? You're not going to use one of your bullets?
Well, I don't want to fire one off in the first 5 minutes unless it's absolutely necessary. But
I fire one off in the first 5 minutes all the time.
But it's kind of like one of those deals where it's like you get so mad, and I think this is kind of where I'm at. I've been so frustrated with this team all season long. I'm just out of anger. I'm out of frustration. I have exhausted all my bullets.
Rock bottom.
The ammo chest is empty. I do. And I
I've
get
got
it.
good family. My friends are healthy. You're doing that thing?
Yeah, you start
That's
to
the
take,
worst.
You start to take...
That's the worst place a sports fan can be, by the way. To try to put things in perspective of life. No, that means you're down bad. And that's where KU fans are.
Because
that's the lowest
of the lows. I remember the first episode we did, we talked about what conversations everybody should be having with their significant other, knowing that hey, I'm going to be locked in for football on top of basketball. And I was kind of doing the reverse of that today. I'm like, okay, Big 12 tournament starts this week. No Kevin, no Hunter. All right, maybe we play one game. Maybe we play two more games. I'm like, the offseason's going to start perhaps a little bit earlier than we're anticipating. And it's not to say they haven't got bounced in the first weekend before. It's just that you don't really ever see it coming.
Hold on. What does this have to do with, your significant other and planning things?
Because because normally I'm like, yo, March is spoken for. Do not plan anything for any of these weekends in March and perhaps even April. And I'm sitting here March is looking pretty open right now.
No, you got to get...
I don't got much going on.
You need to strategically reframe how you're handling this. This is my advice as a married man to an engaged man. You make it seem like you're sacrificing, even though you're truly devastated by the Jayhawks and don't want any part of it. But no, it definitely feels I'm definitely open to maybe doing more things at the end of March. I've thought about that too. So you're right. I'm just saying strategically, don't brag about that. Don't be like, hey, don't want this. No. You're sacrificing because you love her. Yeah.
Well, and I love the Hawks as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's just this weird juxtaposition of getting to this point and being like, I'm not. Okay. I'm having a hard time talking myself into. Okay, yeah. No. Okay, fine. That counts.
There's a negative. You got 4 remaining. You're having to have a hard time talking yourself into it. This all changed today. So we should immediately move on to Monday's news that Bill Self at Hawk Talk says Hunter Dickinson, Kevin McCullar, they're out for the Big 12 tourney. He expects both to be back for the tournament. Says it could be as healthy as we've been all year. So I don't know about you, but so you're saying there's a chance? That is, honestly, this is a Bill Self masterclass stroke.
Wait a minute, really quick. Did he really say that in the same sentence as saying our 2 best players can't play this week? That we're about to be as healthy as we've been?
let me confirm, but I would just like to, let's just leave it as yes for now. I told you, Bill Self Masterclass. That's immediately what I thought. I was like, oh, he's just saying none of what happened before matters. None of Big 12 play matters. We're going to punt. He's finally punting on the NCAA tournament. The Big 12 tournament. We've waited for this for a long, long time. Like, KU fans forever have been like, why are we doing this? It's actually happening.
Now, remember this.
Vibe reset. It's a vibe reset.
Yeah, remember this moment, though, because in future years, when we talk about that same conversation that we regurgitate every year, which is like, should they just punt on the Big 12 tournament? This is now the barometer. This is the line at which Bill Self actually concedes the Big 12 tournament. Your two best players sustained injuries in the final game of the regular season. Anything short of that, we know the answer. But at the very least, we know if your two best players are injured, he is willing to look past the Big 12 tournament for the bigger picture.
He will concede Kansas City when he has no players.
He's like a Civil War general. He's like a Civil War general who's just like, he was like, I'll die on this field before I give it up. That's how he feels about Kansas City. You don't come into my backyard and expect me to not go down without a fight.
We've lost it. Bill Self said KU should enter the NCAA tournament as healthy as they've been in a long time.
Okay. What do you think he's doing there? Because I have an opinion, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
There's a few things. I think it's a reset and a reframe to try to totally have this team feeling good and loose and positive before the tournament, and telling, obviously, the committee and seeding, hey, we haven't been healthy, and we're going to be healthy for March. I think it's both things, but really more about, I think, the team and trying to get them in a good place and get everyone kind of on the same page. Just total Men in Black, send the flash, we're forgetting Big 12 play. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, so I think it's more about the latter. I think it's more about trying to convey a certain message to the committee that's like, hey, nothing to see here. They're fine.
Totally.
Hunter,
totally.
Kevin, they're totally fine. So don't worry about knocking us down a line or two. Like, they're going to be good to go. Because right now, I think most places have KU projected as a 3 seed. Even if, maybe barring a loss on their first game on Wednesday, to who will they be playing? Either Cincinnati or West Virginia, I think it is. Yeah, Cincinnati or West Virginia.
Very well lose that game.
Okay, we can get into it, but that's what it would take for them to fall down to a 4 seed, I think. But if the NCAA selection committee is sitting there saying, oh, well, we're not really sure if McCullar or Hunter are going to play in the NCAA tournament, do they take that into account and say, you know what, maybe we'll bump you down even another notch because you're not the same team you were when you were beating UConn and Indiana and Kentucky and Tennessee and Houston, etc.
You think anyone's buying that? Do you think
buying what Bill Self's saying?
Yeah.
Okay, are you buying it?
No.
Well, I'm not. I don't think anybody's buying that they're going to be as healthy as they've ever been. But
as healthy as they've been in a long while. Whatever. I mean, honestly, like, there's too much. It's not that black and white. You know, I'm surprised, or would be a little surprised, if Hunter's 100% after a shoulder dislocation, though it is his non-shooting hand. Like, that seems surprising. McCullar probably will benefit a lot from this.
Okay,
So-
let me ask you this then. Do you think they're playing next week? Like right now, if you had to place a bet,
Yeah, I do.
you think
I don't
both those
think-
guys are playing in the tourney?
Yeah, I'll say yes. I don't think he's lying about that. It would be... God,
But it
would
wouldn't
be
necessarily be a lie
meltdown.
if he doesn't know right now, and he's not exactly guaranteeing that they're going to play. And I'm sure he doesn't. Like, sitting here today, Kevin's is a little bit different because it's the knee
Kevin
issue that's
should
been the
play,
same knee
yeah.
issue. Kevin should play. With Hunter, though, I'm assuming they don't know for certain that he's going to play. Maybe they have a good idea one way or another. But there's no way you can know. I think it's a little bit
optimistic. Yeah, it's a little optimistic. It must mean that there's not major structural damage. I don't want to get too far into this. So it's definitely an optimistic outlook. I think that they'll probably play. You know, like that's a big narrative reset by Bill. That's what just happened. And I'm kind of all in. Like, oh, we're healthy. We're finally healthy. We're going to lose, hopefully early. Get DeJuan some rest, too. And, like, give me Tennessee. Give me UConn. Give me Purdue. Give me Houston. All in one bracket. Give me Duke. Gonzaga. Why not?
Just all the good teams. You just want KU to face a gauntlet.
All the one seeds. Okay. Yeah, and the vibes are going to be high. But let's be honest. Luck in matchups, like, the vibes can be there. I do like what you're getting at in terms of, hey, it's us against the world, man. The committee screwed us. We've got screwed with injuries. Hey, nothing to lose. Nobody believes in us. Like great teams are so good at manufacturing motivation. Hey, they don't believe in you. And I actually love that for this week more than ever. Here, so you may have to take back the strike against me for the first negative comment because I'm going to be so overly positive here that I think it counteracts being negative a little bit earlier. Nope.
I love it for KU this week. There's a good chance that they're going to be rolling out KJ and Elmarco and Timby and Furphy and DeJuan, and they're just going to get smacked because they haven't played like that all year. But spin zone, what if it rocks? Like, what if they try out this new style and they're just running and gunning and knocking down shots and, like, Timberlake's just doing his thing and Elmarco's out of his head for the first time and Furphy's the alpha. KJ's going for 24 and 10. DeJuan's just, like, pulling up. Somebody's got to step up. Like, somebody's got to rise to the occasion here. Why not everybody? Why not everybody?
To be clear, we've kind of said all year someone has to step up and no one has.
But it's different now.
But
now you don't get to dump it off to Hunter Dickinson.
There's only one ball
times a game.
There's only one ball, and there's going to have to be a lot of shots. I am excited for what I've wanted basically all year, which is KJ to play the 5 and to really space this thing out. Like, that's going to be nice. We're going to get that. That's the likely starting lineup from KU.
Wait, give it to me. Is the one I just let? You think the one I just lined out is the likely starting 5?
Yes.
So again, that was DeJuan, Furphy, Timby, Elmarco. I guess it could be Jamari McDowell, but it's the postseason. Elmarco gives you the best chance, he's the highest ceiling, and then KJ at the 5.
Probably.
The one thing about Hunter, not the one thing, but the biggest thing about Hunter and how you have to play with him on the court. He's not quick. He's not fast. He can't run the floor. And so the offense just gets stagnant. Now, granted, he's really efficient at what he does, but it's still not a free-flowing style of play. Dumping it down low, him going to work in the post. There's not going to be any of that. I don't know how they're going to play offensively. I don't know how many sets they're going to be installing this week for, KJ to get the ball. I can't imagine there's going to be a ton. I imagine Bill's just saying, hey, we got nothing to lose. Our 2 best players are out. We're the 6th seed. We just got smacked last week by Houston. The second fewest points Bill Self's ever scored in a game at Kansas. So, there is some easy motivation to manufacture if that's the route that Bill and this coaching staff's going to take.
Space it out and let it fly. That's what you're saying. I mean, yeah, that's what it should be. It doesn't even. It just will be I'm just playing through the scenarios, and that one, it'll end up being pretty fun and reassuring, and someone new will give us a glimmer of hope, or it'll be just a complete catastrophe. And that's honestly neither will matter that much. Honestly, the downside doesn't really matter. It's the upside, which is if Elmarco or Timberlake can get going, which I'm not totally holding my breath on, but even DeJuan, like you said, DeJuan's oh, wait, I can score? I could have done this the whole time.
That's allowed.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know.
Okay.
I'm all right with it. We'll see what happens. I love the punt though.
What do you
love the punt?
like? Who do you think? I love the punt too. Granted, like
Andy
wasn't
Reid.
really given much. Wasn't really
Punt
given
pass
much
kick.
of an option.
Whatever. That's it. That's KU.
Do you think? Like seriously though, like do you think they're trying to run offense through Furphy? Is this going to be like a spread it out, everybody gets a touch type thing? Like, because there has to be a guy. There has to be a guy that you're going to try and
Jesus
get going.
Christ. Are we seriously talking about this? Like what strategically we're going to see from KU in the Big 12 tournament? Without
You don't think it matters? So you don't think the Big 12 tournament like matters?
No, we're punting. But like,
Here's the problem. Okay, here's the problem. Here's the problem with what you're saying.
We're not going to change
Here's
the offense and then go back to a different offense a week later.
It's not about changing the offense. It is about instilling confidence in these guys.
I agree.
Because here's the issue with saying it doesn't matter. If you're saying the Big 12 tournament doesn't matter, then you're basically saying that you think after a week of rest, Hunter and Kevin return to the starting five and what? Their problems are fixed, or they're just the same team they were? Because if they're the same team they were, then I don't care because that team's not good enough to go on a run. And there's the second negative comment, and there's the second negative comment. And I may keep going and get a third one while I'm at it because that's not good enough. Health, the idea that like this team is a Final Four caliber team, they're just not healthy, it's ridiculous. This team needs to get better, Mike. They need some of these guys that are going to be getting extended run for however long this Big 12 tournament run lasts to get going, to get some confidence, whether that's Timberlake continuing or Elmarco Jackson getting out of his head and being able to play without looking over his shoulder, whether it's Furphy saying, hey, you're the dude. Furf, you're a lottery pick, go prove it. Like, you want to go make a lot of money for yourself? Go to the Big 12 tournament and show everybody that you're one of the best players in the conference. Like, there has to be something to gain from this week, unless we're just conceding that this team is who it is and they're going to roll the same starting five out and then occasionally bring in Nick Timberlake and probably get bounced in the round of 32. And there's the third negative comment, because that's what's going to happen. Like, something has to change. And I get it. It's a big ask to expect for this team to change in a substantial way with your two best players sidelined in potentially a 3-game stretch in Kansas City. But what's the alternative? Because the alternative doesn't work for me.
Well, like, what is it going to take for them to have confidence? That's my question. Is like, what do they need to win a game? Does it
hit some shots, baby? You got to see the ball go in.
That's it.
That's it.
Winning doesn't matter. I'm kind of on the same page about that. Like,
no, I don't. I mean,
you
winning,
just need
winning will be
one
nice.
guy to get going. But no, they haven't been healthy, Nick. And now they're going to be as healthy as they've ever been. Ever.
See, the thing is, my strategy flies directly in the face of what you're buying in the health thing, right? Like, you're buying in.
I mean,
this team's going to be as healthy as they're possibly going to be. I know you don't really believe it, but you got to believe in something in this world, you know?
Hey, look, the players are apparently, or someone is talking about the burners again during Hawk Talk. Maybe Bill Self. So, how do you feel about that? The KU
Bill Self's too
account.
online. Bill Self is too online.
Many have said that. Many say tweet less. Do you know who's too online? Curtis Townsend.
Yeah. That's a problem. That's a problem. If you don't know what we're talking about, just go look at the tweet. Go to Curtis Townsend's Twitter page and then check out his liked tweets. It's a weird place.
When are we going to talk about that? Like, are we helping them by acknowledging this?
I think we're
helping.
I think we're talking about it right now. Do you think this is a widely known thing? Do you think most KU fans know this about Curtis Townsend?
A lot of people know this, dude. Like, a lot.
But is it just like your close KU Twitter friends that know it, or is it all KU fans? Because I would guess that the average KU fan has no idea what we're talking about.
That's probably true.
If you're listening to this podcast, you're not. an average KU fan. So
No, you're awesome.
you
show it
probably
all.
do know what we're talking about. Okay, I'll just go ahead and let's just cut right to the chase.
Are we
Curtis
doing it?
Townsend, yeah, we're doing it.
I'm fine
Curtis
with it.
Townsend is one of the horniest men on earth. He just is.
Whoa.
He just is.
Whoa!
What? I thought we were doing it. I thought we were showing it all. No good.
I mean, good luck. Good luck to you, man. Good luck to you. You can't say that. What
Why
makes
can
it-
I not say that?
No, I mean you can, but I
See,
just
Mike.
didn't
See,
expect
here's what
you-
Mike likes to do.
I thought
here's
you
what
were
Mike
just
likes to
gonna
do.
factually talk about what it was, not like
So Mike
put a
likes
label
to
on it.
set me up. Mike sets me up, and then is just crushing me for like throwing it down. Like he throws me to oop, I dunk it. He's like, "What are you doing? Why are you dunking the ball?" I'm like, "You threw it by the rim. What was I supposed to do?" You set it up. You said Curtis Townsend was 2 online. Why would you say that if it weren't for the fact that his entire list of liked tweets is just like busty women in sports bras or bikinis? Because okay, you want to get into facts? There you go.
I mean,
those
it's
are
been
the
that
facts.
way for years, right? Like years.
And the man,
years.
the man can't be stopped. I would imagine someone has tried to put an end to it by now, but like.
If
I like to believe that somebody has like approached him and said like, "Hey, KT, you're a public
These are
figure.
public.
These are public. Everybody can see these. You should probably stop." And I like to think that KT's just like, "No, I won't stop."
he's like, all right,
And there's nothing you can do about it.
hey, supporting people. It's not porn for the record. Like there is a lot of porn on Twitter. He's not liking porn.
That's
So,
he's not liking porn. Oh, is that the standard now?
well, like if we're drawing lines, I just want to say like it's not like that's what's happening.
Right. It's just
But
usually like
there is-
like women. It's usually like women in like sports bras and workout clothes or bikinis.
There is a theme. There is a theme. And I'd like to think that we are helping actually KU by acknowledging this if it changes. If it doesn't change,
And it's not. Hey, and
Maybe it's a
let's
recruiting
get this
tactic.
out there right now. And let's get this out there right now. It's not illegal, right? That we know of.
what?
Well, no, it's just saying like
There's
he's not
nothing
breaking
wrong.
the law, so we're not.
No, it's not.
I'm just saying like we're
it's
not like.
surprising. It's surprising, and like kind of outrageous that it's still happening.
I'm pretty shocked. I'm pretty shocked that it's still happening, frankly.
Do you
But,
think
you know,
anyone
that's
has
who he
told
is.
him? Well,
And
yes or no?
you know
has
what?
anyone told him? Like not. To
I would
do this?
have to think so. I would have to think so.
I would too. I would too.
You know what though? You know what? I'm actually going to backtrack. I want to be perfectly clear. I love this about Curtis Townsend.
It's awesome. Hold on. It's a good.
It's
thing.
awesome. And furthermore, you want to talk about a guy who's not afraid to show it all.
This guy's awesome.
The definition of showing it all.
You got nothing to
You guys
hide.
want to know what I'm? You guys want to know what I'm into? Here it is.
Unbelievable. He's got nothing to hide.
Why are you?
I'm just.
Yeah.
I mean, like it is outrageous. Like it's crazy.
And I want to be clear.
But we're not judging.
No, and it's not the only thing he likes. Like he likes a lot of like basketball tweets and KU tweets and stuff like that. But there's a lot of other stuff too.
Maybe he doesn't run his own Twitter.
Oh, so like there's just been a shadow operator of his Twitter account for the last 30 years, or I guess 20 years.
I'm looking at his Twitter likes, and they. I would say they've been okay lately. There's a couple. There's
one. I'm just
There's
gonna.
There's quite a few actually.
There's one from March 7th. I think everyone should go take a look at. You might not want to do it if you're thirsty right now.
Got to stop.
I have to stop. I'm the one who has to stop. Are you kidding me? Mike didn't think this conversation was going to go this
No,
far.
you're
this
showing
place.
it. You're showing it. I just want to be clear. He's got nothing to hide, and he can relate to the world.
And
I
wanna
don't
be
know
clear-
what I'm saying about that. I don't know.
And I want to be clear that any potential negatives that you see in this are outweighed by the positives that he has brought to the Kansas basketball program during his time. So
Yes.
I say let him live. I just think it's funny. How about that? Can we leave it at that?
It's funny. It's funny. Let the man live. I don't want him to stop. I would be upset if we just did that.
Yeah, I actually would be super upset. So maybe we'll go back and cut this, because if there's even a possibility that this conversation could lead to him stopping, then I want to purge it from the. But we can't, because it's the Show It All gang, and in the sake of showing it all, we have to keep it.
Curtis
and there's
shows
just no
it.
way around it.
Curtis shows it.
And you know who else shows it?
The Show It All gang.
The Show It All gang. That's right, Mike. And
Hooray!
They sent us some submissions over the weekend. As always, if you'd ever like to be featured on the episode, you can tweet at us at CouldBeWrongPod on Twitter. And we had a few. One that came in last week that was reactionary to our podcast, and one that came out after the game on Saturday. I want to start with the one from last week, because I feel like this is kind of in line with some conversations that we've had. This is from Travis. Travis says, "The biggest concern for me for this team is that they don't let their nuts hang. To me, this is the most frustrating, because the roster is full of guys individually who are capable of letting them hang, but so far this season, KJ and Johnny are really the only two guys who consistently play with that mentality. Add in that Johnny just turned 12, so he's just now starting to really develop said nuts. How well?
Oh my God.
How does this team start letting their nuts hang, you ask? Well, to me, this actually starts offensively by getting Hunter down the block even more and actually having him work hard for the post position. Hunter is obviously a hell of a basketball player and very skilled around the basket, but we can all honestly say he posts up hard and works hard to get a man sealed for an easy look, or is it he catches it in pretty deep and throws a quick little hook up over a guy that goes in about 60% of the time? We definitely have a spacing problem, but just shooting more threes won't solve it unless those attempts are made. We have a great passing team with a lot of great slashers, so much so that if the slashers were moving for the whole possession, I don't think there are too many defenses that could stop us consistently. And since Bill loves to harp on defense, we can certainly go there too. Let's be honest, have DPOY candidates DeJuan and Kevin really looked that impressive to anyone? Now, I understand these guys are working through injuries and have tired legs, but we're talking about 20 to 23-year-olds, not 40-year-old LeBron James trying to load manage his way through 82 games. Ultimately, we have the guys who have the nuts. They just have to let them hang."
What was this person's name again?
This is Travis.
Travis, thank you. That was excellent. Playing off the legendary Darnell Jackson, let your nuts hang line. There's a lot to unpack there, but one thing I want to lead with, and I've had some conversations with some people who know things, and we've kind of gone back and forth like, yeah, the alpha, there isn't the alpha. And it's been disappointing, I think, that they don't have that true leader. No one has stepped up like that. Yep.
It's interesting, and I don't know that I necessarily disagree, but it's interesting that Hunter isn't seen as that guy, despite the fact that he's been pretty dominant all season long. One of the 3 best players in the Big 12, one of the 10 best players in the country. He's a fiery guy. He shows his emotion a lot on the court. He's not afraid to get chippy with other dudes. Are we sure that he doesn't have that, or that he hasn't filled that role? Or is it that we just look to see it from a guard? Is it that we just need to see it from someone at the end of a possession who can bury a 3 in your face? Like, what's missing there?
I think it's more about, Hunter's like in his first year, and you like DeJuan, KJ, or McCullar, I think is really kind of where that they were looking at, which isn't the best excuse, but I do think that that's generally the way the conversation was going.
Yeah, and I think that
is that an
just
excuse?
The style that Hunter plays too, I think, which Travis was kind of hinting at, is that it's not a real like in your face style of play. Like he said, like just kind of throwing up the hook shot. Like, it's very effective. He's a very good basketball player, but the style that he plays at is just not, it's not like T-Rob throwing down a dunk. You know what I mean? Getting an offensive rebound and then just like pulverizing the rim.
Right. I think I have a hard time with the Hunter conversation, especially about how he's working down low. I get it. I get why it looks this way, but you've got a 7'2" dude playing 80% of KU's minutes. I sent an email. If you look at the email newsletter today, like there's a screenshot. Michael Swain posted it also on Twitter. Like it came from him, with Hunter and the ball in the post and just 5 Houston dudes in the paint. And I know he was saying like, I would like to see him hold position a little longer. I've noticed that as well. But like, I just don't think it's him. Like, I don't think it's his fault. It looks weird. It's a little frustrating, but like this dude is dragging people up and down the court for a lot of time for a big 7'2", like 40-year-old guy.
Yeah, I agree. And I think
I'm just not there.
if KU had some better fits around Hunter, nobody would be talking about this. This is what happens when the season doesn't go according to plan. And when you have a bunch of issues that never get fixed all year, you start to find issues everywhere. And I think that's kind of what's happening with Hunter. Is he the perfect player to build around? No, obviously not. He has some shortcomings. But there have been guys worse than him. There have been guys... Wait, why are glasses on? I didn't do anything.
Sorry, you keep going.
I didn't do Nerd Alert.
You keep going.
I just think...
There have been guys worse than him.
There have been lesser players with a better fit around them that we give passes simply because the team's winning more, so we're not complaining as much. We've been given a million excuses to complain this year, and you get tired of saying the same things over and over again, and people try to be interesting by being like, well, wait a minute. What if it's not the bench? What if it's not the lack of shooters? What if it's the guy averaging 20 and 10? Maybe he's the problem, and I can't get there. I just can't get there.
You know, like, it's a, Airplane, where the kid, the movie Airplane, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the pilot, and he's like, my dad says you don't play hard on defense. And he's like, listen, kid. That's how I feel like the Hunter conversation is kind of gone, where he's like, what do you want from me? In fact, it's not that the pieces don't fit. It's that they might be the worst possible pieces to have gone around him.
Yeah.
Like the worst. You could not have drawn or like designed a worse puzzle. And look at it. He's taken 29%. Oh, here's my glasses on. You want to do some Hunter numbers? This wasn't supposed to be about Hunter, but here we are. We'll do it. Nick, we'll do it.
Okay, well then do it.
Okay, my glasses are on. Okay, he's taken 29.7% of KU shots this year. That's a huge number. Again, 80%. He's played in 80% of possible minutes. It includes blowouts, and there's been a few. He's number 20 in the country in defensive rebounding rate. His block percentage is pretty damn high. He's the only KU player that is like consistently on the KenPom leaderboards when it measures a dude's like individual stats. And I know there's more to it, but like it's the worst possible. It's a combination of all these things. It's frustrating. I get it. He's missed some layups. It's just not, it cannot be this dude's fault. I refuse to go there. I'm with you. And also, just to end on a more positive note, though, the cutting take is pretty good. It's a great cutting offense.
Yeah, I can cut more. They just need more cutters. You know what? This actually brings up an interesting question about fit and pieces and good pieces, but they just don't fit together. If you could add one former Bill Self player to this roster for the March run, right? Like today, you add the best version of that player or one season of that player to this team. Who are you going with?
Okay, the first name that jumps out is Devontae Graham, because I think it's got to be at the 2. And I think him and Dewan are really good together. He's a good shooter, like a very good shooter. He had the alpha thing. So like senior year Devontae Graham, pretty quickly jumps off
Well,
the
it wouldn't
page
really
to
be
me.
senior year Devontae, because senior year Devontae, much like DeJuan, had the ball in his hands all the time.
Well, I'm saying
You know?
I want correct, but like
Because you're not going to turn Devontae into a spot up shooter, right? That's not the best
no,
version of him.
but he had spacing, and I think Bill Self loves the 2-guard offense. So I want it.
I agree. That's a good one. That's a good one.
It was quick. I'm going quick here.
I've got one that I think is just like a perfect fit. I don't think he would be better than he was on the teams that he was on, but I think he's exactly what this team needs. Brandon Rush. Like, you're not getting, and I think you put him in for
That's
KJ.
really good.
Because, I mean, dude, you went to the Final Four in 2018 with Devontae Graham, with LeGerald Vick, effectively. You didn't have a 4. You just had 3 threes. You had a point guard, a big man, and you had 3 threes. Why not try it again, right? Just add another wing. And he's a guy, like, I would feel comfortable at the end of possessions, like having the ball in his hands, knocking down big shots, creating his own shots, finishing at the rim, playing good defense. Like, that is the type of player that I think would make this team a Final Four contender.
Yeah, Brandon Rush is a great one. Makes sense. We're not going to do the Embiid thing for obvious reasons.
Twin Towers, Embiid and Hunter Dickinson, just
It worked for
post
UConn.
touches.
just run him off the bench. You know, Wiggins would be good, but I don't want freshman year Wiggins in that spot. I don't want
No,
it.
because we remember how his Kansas
What
career
about-
ended, and it was with a bit of a dud.
Yeah, here's a less obvious one would be like, what about Marcus Morris? Play him.
That's a really good one.
I hadn't thought about that, but then KJ's coming off the bench. You got a stretch 4 who can pass and guard. That has had a really long NBA career. I like Marcus Morris to this team. Like,
And he's
KJ
kind of
would
a
be
tweener,
so
like-
tough. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
that alpha.
He could play
alpha
he
mate.
could- yeah, he's kind of a wing. He's kind of a big guy. Like, great at those. He can stretch the floor with threes. He can also knock down those mid-range jumpers. Like, I think we're noticing a theme here. All these guys can shoot, and
you
all these
have
guys
to.
can do multiple things. Right?
What about-
Like,
yeah.
no one's
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah, let's get
Yeah.
Cole Aldridge on this squad. You know, bring him off
No-
the bench for
ooh.
15 minutes a game. That'll do it.
Another slow big boy. Other names that jump out are going to be like, Chalmers defensively and shooting. He fits a couple of spots there, like, and alpha. Extreme confidence. Ben McLemore is
Yeah.
another one.
Ben McLemore's good, and I thought about Ben McLemore, but I thought I can't say Ben McLemore over Brandon Rush, because Brandon Rush is just like a more polished
better-
version of
yeah.
what Ben did.
Yeah, no, I'm on board
Like,
with
if I'm
that.
gonna go wing, because that's what I thought. I was like, I want a wing who can shoot. Brandon Rush was the
Ooh,
best
this is
one.
fun. This is fun.
What do you think? You said Marcus Morris. What about a guy like Darrell Arthur?
Yeah, for all the same reasons.
Like, he would bring you defense. He would bring you rebounding. He's just like, it's probably not as good as bringing in a wing, but he's just like a better version of KJ, you know?
Well, that's kind of what I was going with Marcus, too. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
yeah, I think I'd rather take I think I'd rather take Marcus Morris than Darrell for this team, for the spacing and, like, get your own shot issues. Do you have any other user submissions, by the way? Because, like, I could talk about this for forever, and, like, I don't know.
I
how
have
you
one
want it.
more. This is
Okay.
This is from Maine's event, and they sent this one to us after the game on Saturday. They said, they sent one. Oh wow, they sent one before the game too. So I'm actually gonna. These were both before the game. Okay, never mind. So these are both before the loss. So this is not like a reactionary take. He said, "Would love to hear your opinion. I love HCBS, Bill Self, who just got a lifetime contract, but, and now you know things are going to go off the rails a little bit, but, I love him, but the college game is different now with the transfer portal. He can be a hard coach to play for if you listen to former players. Can he adjust to recruiting players and keeping them in the program so there isn't a mass exodus like in 2023? Can he stop playing faves and sacrifice a few wins to give younger bench guys a longer leash for program stability and better bench depth? I like that, by the way. From now on, will everybody please finish their questions by just saying, Interesting question I just asked. My initial reaction is like the idea of sacrificing wins for the betterment of the team long term. This team just lost more games than Bill Self has ever lost in conference play at Kansas. So, like, how many more wins are you comfortable sacrificing?
I actually think
you
did
cool
that.
with being on the?
I think they've done that. They tried it. Baylor road game.
They're hanging on to the 3 line right now. Like, you want to be a 5 seed? Because we haven't seen that before. Who's comfortable with being a 5 seed? Who's comfortable with being a 6 seed? Because I'm not.
Yeah. Look,
I think the right amount of wins. I think the right amount of wins were sacrificed this season.
I mean, yes, yeah, no. This year, that's correct. About self-adjusting to the transfer portal era, I get it. I don't think it's an outlandish take. Whereas, like, I thought it was gonna go, like, he just can't do it. I think he will. Like, if there's one thing Self has pretty consistently done, it's he's adjusted. Maybe a little slower. He really likes to probably be sure, but I think he will adjust. I think there will be some course correction that we're going to see in probably some Power 5 guards coming in.
But there's a part of what this person is saying that I agree with, in that, you know, you look at the last 5 years, 2019, 2021, and this year. Those are 3 of his 5 worst seasons at Kansas. And the one thing that they all had in common was a lot of roster turnover from the year before. And I think, generally speaking, if you just gave me the option between choosing, would you rather have a Bill Self-coached team with a bunch of upperclassmen who have spent a few years in the system, or would you rather have the team full of McDonald's All-Americans and, you know, highly ranked transfer portal guys? I would take the upperclassmen 10 times out of 10. Like, there isn't one scenario where I would rather have all these highly touted dudes who are new and trying to figure it out, because it is very clear. Like, if you just boiled down Bill Self, like success versus not success, that's it for me. Do you have guys who have been around before? Or is it a bunch of new players? Because, Mike, I don't know what the counter argument is. It doesn't work.
I've talked
simply
about,
doesn't work. And I'll even take this as negative comment number 4. But, like, that's not what his strength is as a coach.
No, you're right. Everyone would agree that it takes time for players to get comfortable and trust Bill Self and trust the system. We've talked about it. Like, look at McCullar last year. It took him a while to get comfortable. I think, like, and for Self to trust the player coming in. The trust goes both ways.
Right.
The player to trust the system and vice versa, and to understand what's wanted. The seniors understand it, they trust it, and they will, get the 50-50 balls that win you games. That's just not where we're at right now, so he is going to have to adjust a bit.
You mean that's not where we're at in college basketball?
Right. Like, El Marco struggle, like, man, I don't think he's, would bet that he's not back at this point, which you wouldn't have seen in the past. So I think there's going to have to be some adjusting. I think he's going to have to adjust in who he brings in too. The mid-major guards have really not gone well. The shooter, we're going to go add this offensive player, like, that doesn't really work for them. So I think that we will see some reflection and some adjustment in the types of players they're bringing in, but also, like, it's just going to have to be different. And by the way, in between those 3 seasons that you mentioned, the other 2 were 2 of his best teams ever.
Yeah.
Well, one natty team that actually might not have been his best team ever, but then the one that didn't in that team was the COVID team.
But what's interesting about that is that 2022 team, You had Ochai, who was not a top 100 recruit. Christian Brown, who I don't think was. Maybe he was barely a top 100 recruit. David McCormick, who was a McDonald's All-American that had to stick around for 4 years.
By the way, Brown would be a good add to this year's team.
Yes. DeJuan Harris, not a top 100 recruit. And then the only new face you brought in was Remy, and we all know how he came alive in March. That's great.
My boy.
But we can't make the new formula go out and get a bunch of 3-star recruits and then just have them stick around for 4 years, because it's Kansas. You're going to go after the best players. You're going to go after the McDonald's All-Americans. If they want to come here, you're not going to turn Flory Badunga away just because you haven't had a ton of success with McDonald All-American big men, right? So there's really not an easy fix. It's just you kind of hope that eventually you'll get the Josh Jackson, you'll get the Joel Embiid, you'll get the Andrew Wiggins, who are so good that they can just be impact players right away. But that's kind of the issue, the whole transfer portal thing. I don't love the roster turnover, and it looks like there might be a good bit for next season as well. But I don't know how you avoid it unless guys like Elmarco Jackson just decide, you know what, I'm going to stick around for a few years. Johnny Furphy says, you know what, I don't really care about the NBA draft. I'm going to stick around another year. This is what's going to happen when you recruit highly touted players. They're either going to want to perform and go to the next level, or if they don't perform, they're going to go try it somewhere else.
Yep. No, it's the reality of the situation. But ultimately, if we're judging teams on tournament success, you just need matchups and to get lucky. I mean, that's what it is. So, look, I think that they're going to keep adjusting who they're bringing in. I expect a lot of players I think, an even higher caliber of player to start considering the portal than we're used to seeing. I think a lot of good guys are might go to free agency. And Bill Self knows he doesn't have forever to coach. He's got DeJuan. He's probably got Hunter. And I think we're going to see some pretty established guys, at least KU be in the mix for. So that's what I'm expecting. I have one user submission I want to share because it was funny. This is via VIP text. Shout out to the VIP scoopers. Get your text if you're a VIP newsletter subscriber. This person said at 1:20 Central. The game started at 3, right? 3 Central, 1 Pacific. So 2 hours before the game, headed to Houston, fully expecting to get waxed. That was on Friday. Sorry. So the day before, headed to Houston, fully expected to get waxed. At 2 p.m. my time, 4 p.m. Central Time, on Saturday. So 3 hours.
Halftime.
Yeah. Talk to me. I'm getting time zone confused. He says, something is seriously wrong. That was the text. And
that was the full text? Yeah.
That's just it. And I've been cracking up about it. Then there were 2 pretty long texts breaking down the team, some issues that he has. Didn't grasp that, hey, it's KU. They're going to have a bigger target on their back. You're Kansas. He wants a leader. Some of the things we talked about. But then turning off my phone. Hunter's making me really angry. We forced a lot of people out for this soft bag of rice. That was it. And you know what? I respect the something is seriously wrong. I'm going to vent and then turn off my phone because that's what happened. So shout out to you.
Yeah, my text immediately, 5 minutes into the game, my group text full of KU friends was just, well, everybody enjoy their Saturdays. Hope you didn't block off your calendar for this so you can go out and enjoy the weather and take advantage.
Yeah,
because that was that game, dude.
It was an all-timer. I just want to go back to adding.
It's trash.
I just want to add more players to this year's team to make me feel better. Also because we're back. Well, you just said it's trash.
Yeah, we are back.
Negative, but let's keep going.
No,
let's just keep going.
And we are back. Malik Newman, I would add to this team in a heartbeat. March Malik Newman, though.
It's only March Malik. He was so good.
Yes.
He was truly now it's kind of a thing KU fans talk about. Like, he was so good. That March run, it was incredible. All time.
You know what we should do next week for the Selection Sunday or Monday episode? Let's do a draft of the best. We'll draft 5-on-5 teams, the best tournament players under Bill Self.
Okay. All right. I'm in. You're
it's
going to
called a
lose.
tease. That's called a tease.
That's a good tease. We're both just fixated on this. We'll send us. I will read your submissions if you're listening. By the way, who are your all-time KU tourney players? I can't go all-time though. It's Bill Self era, Roy and Bill. What do you want to do?
Bill Self era. We'll do Bill Self era tourney players.
Easy to cut off.
Yeah, send those in. Send those in to us on Twitter at CouldBeWrongPod. We'll be back either Sunday or Monday with an NCAA tournament edition.
Why not?
Could Be Wrong.
Maybe before. Maybe KU goes on a run, and we're just going to be live podding.
Emergency pod this week.
I want an emergency.
How about
pod.
that?
I want one.
If KU goes to the Big 12 title game, I think that's deserving of a podcast.
Yes, but also if they lose early, can we get on and talk about some seeding and stuff?
Yeah, I mean if they just get
I'm
waxed
trying to
by
push
Cincinnati.
you to do another podcast.
Yeah, you can get me to do another podcast. I do want to just say as we wrap this up, we're an hour in, we're wrapping up, and I only did 4 negative comments. So I gave myself 5. I only had 4. Kevin McCullar's soft. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Hopefully we'll be back again this week for another emergency episode. If not, we'll see you guys next week.